Females are very emotion based. So food is tied to emotions 100% when it, it comes to being a female, right? So with dealing with a guy, it's complete opposite. They have no emotional attachment when it comes to food. I can tell them, eat this, this, and this, eat this much, and you'll get where you want to be, and there's no questions asked. I don't get a phone call the next day asking, are you sure about that? They just...
Are you sure I can't have a bottle of wine on Saturdays?
Right.
The Boom Show is produced by the team at Burg CrossFit. So please don't sue us. All of the recordings and materials in this podcast are for educational purposes only and should not be considered as a substitute for medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Let's just get smarter and sweat together. Cool? All right, let's go.
Boop, boop, beep, beep, bop, ba-dop. Welcome to the Boom Show. I'm starting my beatbox here.
These poor people that are listening to this will never get those 10 seconds back.
You got Tony and Amy here as your hosts, and we have the Piss and Vinegar.
Infamous
Piss and Vinegar. Sara Avren here with us. So Sara, we'll start off how we always start off. Tell us your full name and where you were born and what you do here at Burg.
Okay. So, I guess name depends on who you ask in here, but my legal name is Sara Elizabeth Avren, but I also go by Sarah Sisk as my maiden name. I was born in Hot Springs, Arkansas, out in the middle of nowhere. And what I do at Burg, so I am the nutrition coach at our Burg, Florida locations.
And what is your party name?
Oh, Susan. Susan is my party name. Yes.
So fun fact.
You mean your old school name? Is that, I feel like I heard this story before.
Yeah, no, it was just a name given to me probably 12 years ago, and it just stuck. So whenever Party Sarah comes out, it's Party Susan.
Mm-hmm. Which is rare, though, because you're not much of a partier.
I'm not.
Are you?
No,
okay,
not anymore. Yeah, no, those days are long gone.
They are, or are they?
Or are they?
Plot twist. We're just going to get hammered right now.
Yeah, for real.
I'm going to let Susan out. So Sara, you have multiple names. I know your now husband actually still has you in his phone as Sarah Sisk.
Sarah Sisk,
right?
Yeah.
Which is pretty funny.
Yeah.
I still call her Sarah Sisk all the time.
I think it just sounds better.
Just rolls off the tongue.
It rolls off the tongue a lot better.
Maybe Nick should take your last name.
That's what I told him. Seriously. Before we got married, I said, what do you think? And he still don't even ask me that question. So we didn't talk about it anymore.
Start calling him Nick Sisk.
Oh, my God.
Anyway, so Sara Avren, Sarah Sisk, head of nutrition. What do you do, or not what you do? What tell us about your childhood. Let's start there. Tell us about your childhood. What was your life like? How was your family? Do you have siblings? Where'd you growing up?
Yeah.
What did you do?
So grew up in North Carolina for a majority of my life. I had 5 brothers and a sister, so there were 7 of us growing up. I had one brother pass away when I was in high school. But I'm the baby, so everybody is like way older. Like my oldest brother could be my dad. My nephew is older than me, so we kind of have like a weird dynamic. So both my parents were married and had kids, and then got married and had 3 more. So we were like the Brady Bunch style. We all just kind of like meshed together. But it was good. Like, so I grew up kind of out in the country in a small town with like 2 stoplights type of deal. Let's see, I was homeschooled for a lot of that time, which fortunately I didn't turn out too weird because of that. But my mom is a saint. So now that we're doing virtual schooling with my stepson, it's like, I don't know how she even did it for so long with my brother and I, because it's really challenging. But I had a good childhood, like very athletic. Like we were homeschooled, but we still played on sports teams and were very active. And we were just outside as much as we could, had 4-wheelers and go-karts and the whole shebang out in the country. So, but as an adult, I grew up and decided I was ready to leave the nest and start a new life. So I moved to Florida. Here I am 12 years later.
How long have you lived here?
Yeah.
St. Pete, I've been here for 6 or 7 years, but Florida in general, I moved here when I was 20 and I'm 32. So quite a while.
What other part of Florida were you in?
I've lived in St. Augustine, Daytona, Palm Coast, kind of up and down that like East Coast area.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not the pretty side of the beach.
It's not, but I had no idea. I didn't know until I moved to this side, and I was like, "Oh my God, the beaches!" Like
you can see the bottom of the. Yeah.
And it's warm, and there's no waves, and but you don't know that until you go back and forth. Like it's so different from one side of.
What do you prefer, like the country or the beach?
Beach. Like I'm that person that like needs to be around water, like, or else I feel really landlocked.
Yeah.
But I mean, I like both, but if I had the choice, I would be by the beach for sure.
Yeah.
So you had a really big family growing up, obviously, and you said you're the baby. Who is the next oldest? Like, what was the age gap? 16
months. So my brother is 16 months older.
And then from there, so what was there like a big gap, obviously, from marriage to marriage?
Yeah. So I have a brother who's 16 months older, and then my next sister is 7 years older.
Oh, wow. And
then it goes up from there. So, yeah, it was kind of a big
So your
gap.
oldest brother, how old is he?
Oh, Lord. He's –
or what's the age difference, I guess?
I want to say he's I'm 32, so he's 49. Maybe he's 50 this year. So
That's
he's
crazy.
pretty – yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool, though.
It is cool, yeah. I mean, it's different, but yeah, it's cool.
Are they all in North Carolina, or are they spread out?
Yeah, so my closest brother and sister, they're still in North Carolina. Like, they won't ever leave. But then my older brothers, they're all spread out, like in Texas and Arizona, and Virginia.
Oh, cool. So
go ahead.
So in high school and growing up, you said you played a lot of sports. You did the dirt bikes and 4-wheelers, all that country stuff. But what sports did you play?
So my main sport was soccer. I loved soccer. But I also did softball and basketball too. Got it.
What were your other hobbies? Was it just sports, or were you other stuff?
I think, no. I was the band geek too. So I played in that. Yeah, I did. I played clarinet for a long time. I was second chair in the state, which is it's a big deal.
No big deal.
No big deal. Whatever. So that was high school. So I did clarinet. I played snare drum, piano. Like,
this explains a lot of the party season.
Does it?
Yeah, man. Band girls get down.
Stop it. They do
Oh,
not.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
They do not.
Do you still play instruments?
I haven't in a long time.
Do you think you could?
Yeah, I actually I have these moments where I'm like just itching to play something, but of course I don't have a piano laying around.
Does Nick know this about you?
Yeah, he knows, and he makes fun of me.
I think it'd be hilarious if he just came home and started busting out some.
He brings home a snare drum.
I really don't think he thinks that I'm being honest about my music abilities, because he has no abilities when it comes to music and things like that. So he's just you can't really play that. I'm like, yes, I really can. I did it for a long time. Yeah. So,
oh my God, you should do it.
Challenge is to get an instrument and play it. That's all the video.
I know. Okay, I guess I need to
prove it. So high school, is that when, what were some memorable things from high school? Did you go to college afterwards? I mean, what was your route of?
So I did high school, actually. So I was homeschooled for most of my life, and then we went to a private Christian high school in town. So did that, and then I was one of those seniors where I was like, I don't really know what I want to do, but Mom was like, you need to have some kind of direction, go get a license in something. So I went to cosmetology school and got my license through there, started doing hair for a couple years. And then that's when I was like, I'm just over everything. Like, I just need to move. I need to get out of here. And that's when I kind of dipped out and went to Florida. But I did hair just on my own. So when you travel from state to state, like, you have to get your license transferred as well. And that took over a year. So by that time I was bartending and making a lot more money. And so I just kind of stuck with bartending for years after moving to Florida, and just left like hair to like doing something on the side that I just like a hobby.
Do you cut hair anymore? You do any of that?
I haven't in a while.
Did you cut next hair yet?
No, heck
Good.
no. He is
way
much
too
of it to
vain to let anybody cut his hair, probably. Oh my God, you'd never hear the end of it.
He's
What?
very particular, obviously. If you've ever met my husband, I know, it's weird. It's so weird that I would never want to. I would never ask him to cut it. I would never.
I told him I'd cut it. He didn't trust me, but
No.
give him the old.
I tried to cut. Yeah, I feel you, girl. I feel you.
No.
Tony, on the other hand, is like, I don't care. Just
give me those clippers. Give me a nice cut.
I got her hair. She didn't believe me.
No.
So what made you originally move to Florida? How did you pick Florida?
So my best friend lived over in Palm Coast. We've been best friends since we were like in elementary school. And she was living over there at the time, and we were on the phone. I still remember this day. I was at work back in our like break room, and she calls me up and she's like, you should just move down here and live with me. We can be roommates. It'll be great. And so like, I mean, obviously I hated where I was. So I picked up in 2 weeks and left and never went back.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you were just bartending on that other coast? I mean, how'd you end up on all those places? I mean, what made, were you moving with her?
Yeah. So we kind of just moved together. So I moved in with her when I moved down to Florida and Palm Coast. She like already knew people in town. So she got me a job bartending. I stayed there for years, at this one particular place. I don't know if you've heard of Bike Week, but Daytona has Bike Week every year. So I worked that several years, and that was a hot
It's
mess.
kind of like a shit show.
It is. It's like a white trash shit show. But you can make a lot of money, and so that's where I was. So there's that. And then I started dating someone. He lived in St. Augustine, so I moved to St. Augustine. And then from there, it was kind of like I just kind of moved around. I don't know. I just started meeting people, and then it was like, hey, let's live together. Sure. So I had multiple roommates at any given time. And then she actually got married. Her and her husband, this is my best friend, they were wanting to move somewhere different. And so we actually were like looking on the map, like, where can we move? We actually looked at Key West. We looked at Naples. We looked at Tampa, and we kind of landed on St. Pete because she did research, and she's like, it's up and coming. Like, there's a lot of young people there, a lot of things going on. Let's move there. And we did. We just kind of put our finger on the map, and we ended up in St. Pete, not knowing anybody. But obviously it turned out to be a really good decision because I stayed. She moved back, but I stayed.
Did she?
Yeah. But I love it here. I can't see myself really living too far ever.
Because that's who you were living with when you came to Burg, right?
Yeah, when I was right across the street.
Yeah. So Sara, I guess so when we met, when you kind of, I guess, how did you get into? You lived right around the corner. Mm-hmm. Is that kind of how you found the gym and got started? Yeah. It wasn't even like you were looking for CrossFit.
No.
It was just more or less, oh, there's a gym right there.
Yeah, I had heard the term CrossFit one time, like before seeing an actual gym. But we lived right across the street, so we'd pass it literally every single day. And I'd stare at it, and I'd see you and your sister like working out, and I'm like, man, they're jacked, like their shirts off, they're ripped. I'm like, how do I get like that? And then my best friend finally got like totally annoyed with me, and she's like, you need to go in there. Like, I'm literally gonna force you to go in there and just talk to them and see what it is. And finally, I remember it was on St. Patty's Day several years back, but I finally came in and was like, loved it. Like it was one of those immediate things. Like you walk in, you're like, these are my people. Like, I like it. Like this, like, rugged and dirty. And like, I don't know. It was really intriguing to me. So, but yeah, that was with no CrossFit, really any experience, never touched a barbell before, really any kind of weights at all. So this was all a new world, but I loved it.
That's cool.
How long ago was that?
I'm trying to think. That was,
I mean, it was pretty much 6 years ago. I mean,
Was it?
Yeah,
Wow.
I mean, you were one of the
Jeez
very
Louise.
first members, I think.
I remember being here. It was around like 6 or 7 months after you guys had started. So
Yeah,
however long is that? 6 years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
6. Yeah.
Golly.
Pretty much. Easily 6 years. Yeah. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And that's when you had just moved kind of over this way, right? I mean,
Mhm.
it was 6
Yeah.
years, 6, 7 years ago. So since you've been on the journey with us, you tell us what happens next. You kind of got into.
Yeah. Working office jobs, bartending here, and just kind of feeling like that unfulfilled job, feeling like you're going home and you're like, what am I even doing? Like, I don't like where I work. I don't like what I'm doing. And it was kind of like, I was at a point where I'd started going back to school, had some direction, but then really found through the gym, it kind of intrigued me to then get into the realm of nutrition and like how it really affects your performance. Like we always say, you can't out-train a bad diet. So no matter how hard you work in the gym, if you aren't eating well, the science behind it is, you aren't going to really yield the results that you want to get.
Right.
So that always really, really intrigued me. And I never realized it until I found a degree in nutrition and dietetics. And I'm like, this is actually a real thing. People get degrees in this, like, this is really cool. So I started schooling, and then in talking to Jen here one day, we were on the steps and we were kind of just related on the fact of nutrition was something that we were both really passionate about. And we kind of wanted to do that here in the gym and help others like, we have been doing with ourselves and learning all this information. We want to be able to replicate that to our members. And then from there, I feel like from that conversation, it just kind of rolled into, well, then let's put it into place. Like, let's figure out how we can offer our knowledge to our members to just make it even a more grand experience to them while they're here. So from then, several years ago, it's kind of rolled into an actual program with, other coaches. We've helped, oh my God, hundreds of clients through these doors, like really transform their lives. And it's like, I feel like I don't work. It's one of those things where, people are like, when you find what you're passionate about, it's like you never work a day in your life type of thing. And it's actually true. Like, I don't feel like it's work. It just feels like it's so fulfilling and rewarding getting to just help somebody else.
So on that, not to like back up, but kind of to back up where you were at, and you were kind of in this stuck mode of not knowing what to do, not enjoying your job, or you're just kind of running through the ins and outs of the day.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's a lot of people that are in that scenario,
Yeah.
or could be in that scenario. And then you found something that you're super passionate about, where when you go to work, it's, you're working, but you're enjoying it.
Yeah.
So was there an aha moment? Was there just like it maybe just fell in your lap? Was it just because you were in pursuit of something that you liked, and you figured out, you kind of said in a way that the degree was just like, oh, I didn't realize people there was a degree for this.
So yeah, I don't know. I started being really curious about nutrition. Like, obviously I was just like anybody else, like following these people on Instagram and Facebook and seeing like, what are they doing? Like, they're telling people how to eat. Well, it's worked for them. Let me try it. So I was always experimenting with different diets and see how they worked. And then it was like, in looking at continuing on with my schooling, I'm like, I know I need to continue with my education, but I don't even know what I want to do. And then knowing, oh, there's a nutrition program. Like, well, this is what I like. This is what I do in my off time. I like to research different diets. It kind of just made sense. And now I guess that was the aha moment of just like, I can make this a career. This is something that I love to do on myself, and just experimenting. Like, I'd love to help somebody else and guide somebody else into changing their lives through nutrition. So
now that's obviously a different course than dealing with yourself, because you have all the control factors for yourself. So there's a lot more there's many more components to what you're doing now. So how does that look? How did that change for you? Did you find more passion in that? Was it like, what were the similarities and differences?
like in doing it on myself rather than other people?
Yeah,
or?
because I guess you could just look up a diet and be like, all right, you are your own test subject.
Right.
So you're able to do whatever you want and see the results and record and know how diligent you were on it versus an individual. You're coaching them through it.
Yeah.
And it's up to them to
Right.
really make the choices. And
yeah, so that is the hard part. It's like when you're trying things on yourself, it's like, well, I know whether I'm going to be consistent or not to see the results, right? But then, working with somebody else, it's having to understand that there's other personalities involved. There's other perspectives. There's other thought process. She or him or whoever, like they've gone through other things in their life that have brought them here, other things than I've been brought through. So it's understanding, and this is what I've learned. It's really about understanding the person that you're talking to, not just what they're telling you, but like going deeper. How did you get here? Like, what did your life look like growing up until now? It's not just the surface level, but it's learning that it's a lot deeper than the superficial level of them wanting to lose weight.
So is it fair to say it's like, it's pretty much a form of therapy?
It's there 100%.
Right.
I have people leave the office all the time and saying, thank you for this therapy session today, and I'll be billing you later. It's like, it is. We talk through things. And especially now being in a virtual world, it's like I make phone calls with clients to check in every week. And it's like, we're talking through situations more than me going and saying, here's the science behind weight loss. It's okay. What are you dealing with today? Why was this hard? How can we change that situation next time it comes up? It's all about just talking things through. And it's not that I know I am this smart person and I can do anything. It's me just communicating and me asking the right questions to help them get through it. So yeah, it's definitely therapy. Absolutely.
Do you find, not to get out more on nutrition specific questions, do you find that men or women are easier to work with or harder to work with, or just different to work with?
Different. So females are very emotion based. So food is tied to emotions 100% when it comes to being a female, right? So with dealing with a guy, it's complete opposite. They have no emotional attachment when it comes to food. I can tell them, eat this, this, and this, eat this much, and you'll get where you want to be. And there's no questions asked. I don't get a phone call the next day asking, are you sure about that? They just,
are you sure I can't have a bottle of wine on Saturdays?
Right. So I don't get those questions from a guy. So they just say, okay, I get it. And then they do it. Right.
Yeah.
Female, I know it's going to take a little bit more encouraging.
Behavioral.
Right. Yeah. And it's teaching them, because you had a bad day, it doesn't mean it's okay to go and binge on a bag of chocolate, right? So it's saying, if you had a bad day, let's find a better outlet. Let's go for a walk. Let's do a workout. Let's go read. So it's night and day different, working with a male to a female and how they view food and their relationship behind it.
So it's not that men, because there's this like false belief that men, they cut out like ice cubes and they lose like 20 pounds, but it's really just the fact that, I don't know if you agree or disagree with this, that it's not easier for men or women versus vice versa. It's just that men are kind of just like black and white about it. It's like, okay, eliminate the soda and eliminate the sugar. Cool. Got it. And they lose weight, versus women are just like, they kind of need to be their hands held a little bit more. Being a woman myself, I can say that out loud. Yeah. But yeah, would you agree with that?
Yeah, for sure. It does come off like, well, a guy can lose weight easier, and I think there is some science behind us being a female and us being the child bearers. I know that our body does hang on to body fat a little bit more than a male does, right? So, and that goes back to a female shouldn't be, beyond a certain body fat percentage because it's not healthy, right? For a male, they could get down to 2% body fat and still function as a normal human being. So in that aspect, it's a little bit different. But in what you're saying, yes. So the behaviors are a little different from a male to a female. Guys don't question me telling them to not drink Mountain Dew. They just do it. And then they see the results. For a female, they're going to be like, well, do I have to cut out all the Mountain Dew? or can I have maybe a half a glass today? And right. So it's just a different perspective. So yeah, you're going to see different results depending on the different efforts that are put in.
So basically, ladies, just whatever Sara tells you, just do it.
Just
put your big girl pants on.
Stop questioning
and guys,
me.
okay?
Yeah,
just whatever she says, okay, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Don't deviate.
Well, that's why it's important to, it's just like, I talk about this all the time with people, is like, for whatever reason, the fitness and nutrition world is so ass backwards as to where we put our money. We make one of our mentors at Active Life makes the analogy of like, you go to the dentist and they're like, okay, you need a cleaning. And you're like, okay, here's $400, no big deal. See you later. You're whipping out that money, no problem. But then when it comes to something you've struggled with your whole life, that's like basically just like emotional chains on you as far as your nutrition goes. It's like such a far thought to like hire a coach for a fourth of that value.
Yeah.
And it's so important to, we have the in-body scans here. You mentioned the body fat percentage. It's like, well, how do you know? Like, how do you know where you are and just kind of guess your way through health if you don't know? Maybe you're a female, maybe you are in that low percentage and you're trying to gain muscle. How does that work? Instead of just guessing, hiring someone like yourself to kind of know where you're starting is so important.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that goes back to, this is what I tell people all the time. It's like, and even Tony has brought it up too. It's like, you're not gonna, if you're having car problems, you're going to go to an expert who knows how to work on cars, right? You're not just going to go and drop it off at McDonald's in hopes that somebody, stops by to help fix your car. You're going to take it to a professional because that's what you do. So when you have a problem, let's say it is nutrition related. Let's say, you need to lose weight, you need to get healthy. People tend to wait the longest to actually seek out professional help, which makes no sense to me, but it is the fact of the matter. It's we will wait until we've tried every diet in the book and everything that we can do, and it hasn't worked, and this hasn't worked, and this hasn't worked. Maybe I should seek out somebody who knows what they're doing, right? So it doesn't make sense, but that seems to be the trend of people waiting to find a professional to help them in that particular area. So, and that's why, I think it's just important that, and this is talking to myself, that we just create that awareness. So putting yourself out there, letting people know what you do, how you can help them, what you've helped people with before. Maybe they can relate to that. It's, if people don't know what you do, they don't know what you offer, I can't expect them to come through the door either. So, but yeah, I know we just totally got off on a rabbit trail.
It's all good. I think it's the point is that people put nutrition and fitness sometimes at the back end of the importance, or they argue the fact of I'm not going to pay for that. I could go to this gym for $10 a month or whatever.
Right.
It's all about accountability. It's all about consistency. It's all about the professionalism of what you're receiving.
Or there's got to be a better way.
And
an easier way.
These diets are on all the magazines of 6-minute abs and eat carrots for 3 days and you lose all your body fat and whatever the case is. It's all it's like it's the same with finances. Going and getting lottery tickets and expecting to suddenly hit it and make $1 billion when this is a long game. And the one thing you have taken to the grave is your body, and people just don't pay attention to that. And I think that this right now, we're recording during COVID, and hopefully it'll be done by the time this comes out, but back open, I guess, semi-settled. But I think it's bringing a ton. It's crazy how this scenario can bring so much awareness to health when it's blindingly in everyone's face every day, but it's just the norm that it's okay. It's normal to be battling with your weight. It's normal to have health issues because of your weight or your nutrition in general. And then that nutrition, that in part, your nutrition plays like exponentially more parts in your life than you realize, with inflammatory issues, weight issues, sleep issues. Those relate then into your daily life with your happiness, your stress levels, your job. Like, it's pretty much a huge trickle effect. Basically, if you get your nutrition in order and you lose weight, you're just a fucking better person.
Yeah, all around. I mean, I have a client that I worked with who, he had been working out for years, right? He was always active, but just always carried around a lot of weight. As soon as we paired up nutrition with his workouts, he lost a ton of weight. He shed a whole person. I keep telling him he's a whole different person. But what he tells me and he thanks us for is that we've improved his marriage. We've improved his job, his career, because he has more energy. He can devote more time. He gets up earlier. Like all these things that people don't think about, like you're improving your quality of life. And that's in every area when you dial into nutrition and your fitness. It's not just superficial. It goes way deeper.
Right. We've become as a society like the ultimate legitimizers of why we need coping things such as food, you know, we instead of dealing with our emotions, we choose to cope in the forms of food and other kinds of addictions, whether it's work or social media or video games or whatever. And the unfortunate side of that is there's so many people that would benefit from nutrition coaching, but it's such a, like you said, like the awareness is just not there. And everyone's got like that friend, Julie, in their workplace that lost 20 pounds off keto and et cetera. And so they try it. And then it's always that thing. It's like, well, next year I'll do it. Next year I'll do it. Next year I'll do it. And then, you know, something like this happens where you're home all day and you haven't established those core belief system of
those
like,
habits.
those habits, which are far more important than any kind of keto diet's going to give you.
Right.
And it's just ironic that everyone is so concerned with wearing masks and protecting themselves. And the Taco Bell line is wrapped 17 times around the parking lot right now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this makes no sense. And I think it's
matching up here.
Yeah, something's not like, hold on a second. You know, so it's like, I just think like, if you know, that's why I'm happy to talk about youth nutrition as long as we need to, because I don't think people really understand how, like, it's almost more important than a CrossFit membership. Like, if you're not going to do anything else here, at least do nutrition, just because it's just reverberates through your family. Like, I'm sure, and that was going to be my next question for you is like, what's your most favorite client success story? And I think my favorites that I see in the gym here are like when it affects the whole family, like you just mentioned. Mm-hmm. So like, let's say the dad gets on board and then the wife is kind of interested and the wife gets on board and then the kids are now doing Kids Fit and the kids are eating better. And then like you said, your client who's now has a better marriage and et cetera, et cetera. So I would love to hear like who your favorite success story is out of all the time you've been coaching.
Yeah. I don't know that I have one. Like obviously the guy I just mentioned, he was a big one. Honestly, because he was somebody who, and he'll tell you, he put off, I approached him about doing nutrition coaching for a little while before. And he was like, I don't have the money. I'll do it maybe in a couple months. I just can't right now. Cool. I kept at him, finally got him in a challenge. He saw dramatic results in the first 30 days, which kept him going, right? So he was like, well, I'm just going to keep on with the program because obviously this is working. And so that was really cool to see because everybody around him saw it happening and saw him transform and wanted to know, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing now that you weren't doing before? I don't get it. Like, and for him, he was then, and so I guess this is my favorite type of client, when I get to help somebody transform physically and mentally with food, and then they then start to educate others around them of how they did it, right? So then I have people come back and they're like, dude, my family, my mom, my sister, whatever, they keep wanting me to tell them that I restricted X, Y, and Z out of my diet, or I was on keto, or I was on a low carb, and I keep telling them, you don't have to cut things out just to lose weight, right? So it's cool to hear people then have a new perspective on food, and then they're educating others around them the right way, right? So that to me is cool. It's kind of like that trickle effect of, all right, like I started something really good and now it's being passed on. And that's what I want. Like that's going back to the fact of awareness that everybody needs, and not just awareness, but like the right education. So there's a billion different resources you can get on how to lose weight, but what is the right way? And that's what everybody is seeking out. So if we can get out that it's very basic and simple, and it's eating lots of whole foods in the appropriate amount, right? And then exercising to pair with it. Like it's not rocket science, but people don't want to hear that. They want to see the results first. So if we can show people that these are the results and then this is how you get it,
right?
Like that's how I want to spread. That's
well,
how.
Why would I want to be successful when that's unknown and what I know now is known? The people just say, it's standing in your own way because the thought of you being successful is an unreachable feat.
Yeah.
Because it's like in CrossFit when people first come into foundations, they are absolutely terrified.
Sure.
And they question everything and they're like, well, I'm never going to box jump or whatever. And then 6 months later, they're like laughing at how ridiculous the thought of them saying that was. And it's just, we're so afraid as human beings to be successful. Like, what if, like you've taken risks in your life. What if I am successful at this? What does that look like? Because right now, all I know is this life where it sucks, but that's safe. So it's like that nutrition side is just self-sabotaging. Is kind of like what the mindset is about it. It's like, well, I don't know if I can be successful. What if I fail? I'm far more comfortable over here living in this life where, yes, I'm miserable, but it's kind of like it is what it is. It's my life.
Yeah, fear of the unknown. And the stuff you're afraid of is pretty much the stuff you should be doing.
Hell yeah.
If you're not doing nutrition, then you need to do it. And talking on your fact of, the value that you've given to that person or that individual and how it's spread through his entire life and his family and originally him telling you, it's not in my budget right now.
Mm-hmm.
You can't afford not to do it.
Right.
Right.
Literally, there's so many people. I just want to be like, you literally don't have time to keep doing what you're doing. You can't afford to keep going the route you're going.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's an never ending spiral down if you continue the course of action you're going. And that's what's so cool about the nutrition program. And what I've seen happen out of it with you and Jen is it's really cool. I mean, we've gotten private notes talking about you two, the nutrition team that you manage, basically saying that you guys have saved their lives, like literally saved their lives. Suicidal, marriages, heart problems, medications. I'm just like, holy shit. Like, I thought we were just telling you to eat vegetables. But it's bigger than that. And that's what's, I guess, getting it through people's heads. Like, you can't afford not to do it. If it's something that you're struggling with, or you see, just come, it's awesome. Nutrition, and just no matter what you do something right with nutrition. So anyway, to get back off the tangent we were on, which is basically what, talking about your passion, what you're doing.
Yeah.
So it's really cool. So you obviously are the head nutrition coach.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a little team underneath you. Jen coincides with you as well. She's helped out, but she doesn't really take any clients anymore. You're the one that takes all the clients. So, and you've been doing that. How long have you been doing that now? When did we start with you do nutrition?
I don't know. 3 years ago, maybe.
Right.
Something like that.
It had to be, right?
Part-time.
Yeah. And now you're full-time running the show, and you're going back to school to complete your degree. Yeah. Correct.
In the fall. Yep. That's the plan.
So you'll become a registered dietitian. Correct.
Yep.
Which is awesome. Not that she needs any more knowledge, but there's.
I always want more knowledge.
Because she's. I remember when I was in college, and I went to like a community college, and then you transferred to like a big university like UCF, which I did, and I wanted to do the same degree that you're going to do now. And I remember sitting down in my advisor's office, and he was like, "Oh, so I see that you want to go into dietetics and nutrition, blah, blah." And I'm like, yeah. I'm like so passionate about it. And he goes, "So let's talk about your math and science grades." He was like, and I was like,
subject.
And I was literally like, "There's math and science and nutrition."
Oh my God.
He was like, "You might want to consider another career path, sweetheart." So I was like, all right, well, I'll just be a brute then. I won't do nutrition. But anyway, I thought that was funny. I want to talk about, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. I want to talk about the transition from part-time to full-time, because you know, you took a huge, I know it was like a huge kind of like, not risk, but just like leap of faith as far as I mean, I was a server and bartender before I did this. I know how much money there is to be made, especially on a busy day like St. Patrick's Day or the day after Thanksgiving or whatever. You know, you're making hundreds of dollars for like 6 hours of work, and leaving that to come to a career where you don't really know the outcome, and taking, and even moving further on that idea of like, you became full-time, but then suddenly you went from having kind of a smaller amount of clients to then boom, like just completely taking over the nutrition program in St. Pete. So talk about that for a second.
Yeah. So it definitely wasn't like an overnight decision on leaving my bartending job or waitressing job to join here. I mean, Tony will agree that it was like several different conversations of, Sara, listen, like if this is going to be a real program, like we need you here full time. And it was like, yeah, like I knew he was right in the back of my mind.
Just threaten her.
Yeah, he did. So scary.
You're like, see, but I can make $200 in one day.
And I was like, but like, I know what I can make, and it's just easy money. And it was like, I liked working there. So it was hard to then like just say I'm done. But, you know, my husband was also very encouraging and supportive, and he knew this is what I was passionate about. And he's been ready for me to get out of the restaurant business forever. And so finally he was like, this is it. Like, you just need to do it and rip it off like a Band-Aid and just do it. And then I had another friend that was giving me the same hype. I actually worked with him at the restaurant, and he's saying, this is not where you need to be. Like, this is not you. Like, yes.
Jimmy J.
Jamali, my buddy.
I love Jamal.
So like encouraging. And he was a big part of my transition. And he finally he got to me just one day at the restaurant and said, this is not you. Like, you are not meant to be here, and you're supposed to be at the gym doing what you're passionate about and you know, going that direction. And whatever happened, it finally clicked, and he was like, he's right. Everybody's right, you know, and I just need to do it. And finally I just did it. I put in my notice and said that was it. But it took a while. It wasn't overnight, and it took a lot of supportive people around me to say, this is where you need to be.
But then what were you able to do after that? I want people to hear that. I mean, right after that, I feel like, I don't know the exact time frame. I mean, what happened after that? You know, were those fears validated, or were you able to make this?
Yeah, I didn't look back at all. Like, as soon as I put in my notice, I worked out my last day. I came into the gym, I feel like the next day, and was like, I'm here. Like, it 100% felt good, and it felt right. Like, I had no remorse, which was weird because I liked the people that I worked for, and I enjoyed O'Matty's, but I had no remorse whatsoever. I was like, this was a good decision. And I still feel that way, obviously, because I'm still here. But from then it was like I had maybe a handful of clients because, you know, juggling 2 jobs, and then being here full time, it was like, all right, how do we expand? Now let's think about like, how do we grow? How do we reach outside people? How do I get referrals? And it would just kind of went 0 to 100 with Jen and I, and thinking of all these ideas of how we can now expand, because I'm here, I have the time, let's do it.
How you can help more people this way. I mean,
right.
Clearly you can have more time. You have the availability. You've got the brain power. You've got the focus to be able to do it. I mean, I've seen you guys completely transform the nutrition program to be able to help. I mean, it's like Amy was saying, it's so important to go through that process. I mean, it's pretty much one of our, right now with new oncoming people, if you have any goals of weight loss or you even mention it, we're going to put you into nutrition because it is so important.
Yeah. It has to be a piece to that puzzle if that's what your goal is. So yeah, that's where we are. We're moving and grooving.
We are definitely moving and grooving.
Tell us a Susan story before we close out.
Susan's story. I don't know. We're like, just give me a topic. What do you want to hear?
Well, you did a quick little post, like what, I forget what the topic was. Basically, it was like telling about you and your life, the unknowns of the Sara.
Yeah, because you went through a transformation.
Criminal
background.
You went through
it. We don't have to mention that.
We can. Let's talk about it.
said
What do
she's
you want to
open- she
hear?
said she's
Oh
open
yeah,
to
I don't
everything.
care.
I actually asked her beforehand what she didn't want to talk about, and she didn't have anything. But if she did, I was
Yeah.
going to just bring it up anyway. So
Yeah.
she
Listen, people need to be able to relate, and there's nothing better than getting arrested and becoming a better person for it, you know?
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, everybody has a story, right? It's like
Yeah.
everybody came from something. I just had a rough couple years there in my teens.
Yeah,
Really
same.
rebellious. Yeah.
Susan Teens. Did one last question for you? You know, what was your nutrition journey like? I guess coming into fitness and then becoming a nutrition coach. You know, what was your overall journey and even pre that? You know, did you have struggles? Did you fluctuate in weight? Did you fluctuate with food? Did you care about it? Did you try fat diets? You know, like I guess give us a quick little context. Is like.
So yeah, I was the typical girl, like in her early 20s. Like, I was thinking about this yesterday. I think I was maybe 15 pounds heavier than I am now. So no, like huge, drastic, like I lost 100 pounds. I was never that large, but I definitely was unhealthy and drinking a lot. And so eating fast food a lot, not really caring. I would exercise still. I used to like to run. Like that was my form of like exercise. But like I just was never super happy with how I looked. So yeah, I would go online, like, what's a new fad diet? Like, let me drink lemon water for 4 days and nothing else, right? And see if that works. Like, I can tell you all kinds of stupid stuff I would try.
Is that the cayenne pepper?
Yeah, seriously, yeah. I would do everything, like a
I
cabbage,
did that
like
too.
the cabbage diet where you only eat boiled cabbage. Oh my
Yeah.
God, it's terrible. Like, I don't know why I did any of that because nothing worked. But like you're so eager to like just lose weight and try something and hope that it works because it worked for somebody else. So anyways, I would go right back in that cycle of I'd maybe lose a couple pounds but then gain it right back. You know, so I was in that cycle just like everybody else has been in. Found CrossFit, loved how it transformed my body into more of like a muscular composition, not in a masculine way, but like I saw muscle definition that I'd never seen before, right? And so that was really intriguing. And then once I paired it with nutrition and I got that on par, started cooking my own foods all the time. I just loved it. I loved what I visibly was seeing from that. Like that to me was, I look fit, I look healthy, like you can see definition. And so that's kind of my journey. Like don't have this big weight loss story, but I've definitely cleaned up my overall habits and gotten to where like I actually am confident with where I am. I like how I look. I like where I've gotten to at this point in my life. At 32, I can definitely say I'm in the best shape that I've ever been in.
So it was a gradual course over time. I mean, to learn these things and to build and develop. And I think that's what a lot of people need to see, and a lot of people do. And I love the fact that you mentioned coming into CrossFit and seeing your body change in a muscular way, because there are still and always will be and have been so many women coming in like, am I going to get all bulky? And
Lord.
And I wish I could
time.
just be like, listen, if CrossFit had that magic juice to just make people super bulky, we'd have every freaking dude in here in a heartbeat, because they think they could turn into a bodybuilder overnight, when it is not that easy. And when they say they want to get toned, you know, that means to build muscle, correct?
Yeah. Right. And so, and even talking, that's the part about like consultations, like you really have to keep asking questions. So don't just leave it like they're telling you, I want to be toned and I want to lose weight. Okay. Does that mean you want to, then I'll even show them like people, I'm like, this is what muscular looks like. This is what tone looks like. Is that what you're looking for? Or are you just looking to be a smaller version of yourself? Because that's, we got to understand what you want so I know how to help you. Right. So it's just
your wants and needs are kind of
that's awesome.
Not like they're fighting each other. Can't do two things at one time.
I remember having clients come in on that same exact note of what you're talking about, and having that conversation. I had a magazine right there, and it was Camille LeBlanc-Bazinet on the front cover. And I was like, would you like to look like her?
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah. I'm like, She won the CrossFit Games. She's the fittest
muscular.
woman, the fittest woman in the world this year. Right here, this picture right here. And
she's
like,
a tank.
They're like, oh, and I'm like, yeah, that's what CrossFit does for you, and that's
Right.
what nutrition does for you, and that's awesome. And the I'll just say this from a male's perspective here, okay, ladies. No guy. I'm just gonna say this as if this is all everyone's saying. No guy.
Don't sue us.
Wants to see a woman like a model stick skinny.
Right.
It's not attractive.
Yeah.
Every guy wants to see a girl with some curves and some muscle and some tone.
100%.
So you take a fit top level CrossFitter and next to a skinny stick model, and I would bet $1 million to 1 every guy picks a CrossFitter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or the person building muscle.
Because we don't live in
nutrition
1995 anymore.
Yeah, right.
That's why. when flat butts were the trend and just skinny all around.
Talk about flat butts, and you take a frog and you grab it by its front feet and you stand it up. You can just picture that, right? That's a flat butt.
The flat butt.
Oh God.
That's actually a good.
Which you can build a butt for those of you out there who don't have one currently.
You
I
can
promise
build
you.
a butt.
Absolutely. Built by Sara.
Yeah, hey, I'll take it.
At us.
Butt by Sara, body by Sara.
So to cap this off, what is something that you can answer 2 ways? What is something that no one knows about you, even your husband?
Oh my God.
Or what is your biggest pet peeve? Or both?
Oh man, something doesn't know about me.
Should have saved that band geek story for the end. I'm telling you, I would have never guessed that.
The band geek story. Yeah, well, that's not exciting. That just makes me a nerd.
No.
Nothing wrong with being a nerd. Jeff will tell you that.
Yeah, we employ plenty of them.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but I don't know. That's a positive. I don't know why we're celebrating.
Oh, have you ever met Jeff Gretzko? I'm just kidding.
Yes, I meet him every day. Pet peeve would be like the first thing on the top of my head is when people are late, right? So to me, that's just something that's like, I feel I take it personal. And I'm like, you don't care about me. If you're late, you don't care that I have another person after you or that I have an appointment or, like I take it very personal. Whether that's good or not, it is what it is.
I mean, you're a coach. You got to hold people accountable.
Yeah.
Nutrition clients, don't be late.
Don't be late. Yeah. Or just shoot me a text. Let me know where you are.
Let a girl know.
Common courtesy goes a long way in my book. Oh man, I'm trying to think like of something that even my husband doesn't know. That's not good. Like I shouldn't say that. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I have a lot of like bad stories, but I feel like it's all been
bad story.
all been out there.
Do you collect anything or trying to think of like weird stuff that other people do that no one knows about? I don't know.
Did you ride off into the sunset with a biker on Bike Week one time? An old man biker?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
There at one time.
I took some bikini photos with some dirty old men washing their bikes.
Sick.
High heels on.
There we go.
That was
we go.
That's white trash, Susan.
Can we put that in the Tony Corona calendar that we're going to come out with?
You have a copy
I think
of that?
I have a picture of that somewhere. I need to find it.
Yes.
Or maybe not find it. I don't know.
I think every page should be a different coach doing something like, I don't know. I think it'd be funny. Anyway, coming soon, Tony Corona 2021, because 2020, we're just going to throw that calendar out.
We're just going to act like that year didn't happen.
Yeah. For sale. 2020 calendar. Anyway.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for your time.
Yeah. It was a pleasure.
Check out Sara at. Tell them where they can find you.
Well, I'm on Instagram. The Burg, I post a lot on the Burg CrossFit social media or my own, which is C Nutrition. Jen and I do most of the posting. So if you see anything nutrition related, it's going to be one of us that are shooting out some content for the world, or recipes. Yeah, so Facebook, Instagram, email, Sarah.
Pretty much anywhere. Like if you have questions too, like, you know, I know a lot of people are afraid to speak out, but you can DM or message or email any one of our gyms or anything, and with a question nutrition related, if you are interested in our program, or if you'd like to hear about all the success stories that we've had, because we're pretty humble people, so we're not going to throw them in your face, but there's hundreds of people that Sarah and her team have helped. So
yeah, you gotta know. You gotta know what's.
You gotta know. We can scan your ass.
But if you got any questions or you're interested or something clicked for you in the podcast about Sarah, please check her out. Check out burgcrossfit.com, and you can email there. There's a tab for nutrition. There's more info there, or our Instagram accounts.
Word.
Over and out, you guys. Thank you.
We out. Peace.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode on The Gym Show, produced for the team at Burg CrossFit. Whether you're local to one of our locations or just love what we do, we would love to invite you to check out our in-house and digital offerings over on our website at www.burgcrossfit.com. If you feel stuck on a particular movement or have no idea what the heck a jerk is, definitely check us out on our movement library over on our YouTube channels, found at each one of our corresponding locations at Burg CrossFit, Burg CrossFit North, or Burg CrossFit Sunbury. And we'll see you next time.